Government has been given serious pause by the 2.9 million signatures on this petition, over 5,000 of which are in Brighton Pavilion. So many people are right to be so concerned because such a scheme carries extreme risks to our privacy. Indeed, if this goes ahead and is successfully introduced, it seems impossible that we can be protected from any future government that is determined to utterly disregard a lot more of our basic human rights. This iteration of digital ID could link our most sensitive biometric information through a unique identification number to our names, ages, nationality, address, our medical, education, housing and criminal histories, enabling a detailed profile to be put together worthy of the Chinese government, which utterly undermines not only our right to privacy, but many other things from which we ought to be protected in terms of the state having access to all of this and control over all of this. I hope that the Minister understands that we're starting to gain a real perspective already as private citizens of how unsafe our data is in the hands of private companies. But I think the reaction to this also shows how we are very, very concerned now with the fact of the difference there is when a state has access to all of this and what a future state might do. We've already seen issues of data sharing between police forces and immigration enforcement that have seen migrants scared to come forwards and report basic crimes around their right to safety because of this kind of overreach. We've seen the e-visa scheme causing awful failures, people stranded. Things people might have looked into. They might have heard the government claiming that other countries have had digital ID for many years, and then heard about the security flaws in the Estonian system, the hackers in Estonia, India, Norway and Poland who've created enormous data breaches. Let us not forget, I've dwelled a lot on state power here, but let us not forget that creating such a database is an enormous risk. It's all the eggs in one basket when it comes to much more criminally inclined people who would take our...
Serve under your chairmanship. I'm here today because I've been contacted by countless residents who are deeply concerned about the government's announcement on the introduction of digital ID to provide the right to work. That was a mouthful. Anyway, their concerns are legitimate, they're reasonable, and they deserve to be heard in this place. My constituents have raised a number of issues. First and foremost is privacy and data security. Residents have referred to recent hacks with M&S and Land Rover. Their question is simple. If cyber systems have been hacked before, why should they trust their most sensitive personal information will be safe? They ask whether the government can truly guarantee resilience against cyber attacks, system failures, or misuse of personal data. I'm sorry, I'm going to sort of carry on. There is also a question of practicality. Will digital ID in reality prevent employers from hiring individuals who do not have the right to work? Or will this simply introduce another layer of bureaucracy without addressing the roots of the problem? Finally, many constituents are concerned about inclusion too. What happens to those who struggle with digital technology?
Sir Edward, and members should note I don't intend to take any interventions in the interest of time this afternoon. Chair, I've had hundreds of emails from constituents about digital ID. Some are entirely supportive, some are completely against it, but most lie somewhere in between. Many who fall in this category are hesitant because they are uncertain about why digital ID is being introduced, what it will look like, when they will use it, how information will be stored, and how their data will be protected. I know that colleagues and the Minister have been working hard on developing a framework for what the rollout of digital ID will look like. However, my inbox reflects a broader point. Since the announcement of digital ID in late September, there has been much misinformation and a lack of information, leading to two things. Firstly, people are left without a clear understanding of how digital ID will be used and why this modernisation is important. Secondly, and more worryingly, some people have been left fearing the worst that digital ID will be used for surveillance, tracking and authoritarian crackdown, rather than the positive case, as the government suggests, for enabling people to start work more quickly and having better control of our borders, and for people's own convenience. Now, Chair, my 18-year-old son shares my youthful looks, so he's glad of his digital proof of age because it lets him go to the pub now that he's at university without any issues. And my younger son would have welcomed digital ID this weekend when he was turned away from a cinema because he couldn't prove that he was over 15. However, the implementation of digital IDs is to be effective, and well, if it is to be effective and well received, I would ask the Minister to provide assurances to my constituents in Amber Valley that the concerns that have been raised today, particularly surrounding data protection and security,
This is an issue which cuts to the very heart of the relationship between our constituents and the state. I am completely against digital ID. It is expensive, it is intrusive, and it will be completely ineffective. This was not in the Labour Party's 2024 election manifesto, so this is not something that anyone has voted for. Putting that to one side, this Labour government do not seem to understand why it is needed or what it is for. The Prime Minister initially claimed this was an essential part of cracking down on illegal migration. But illegal migrants are making long, dangerous crossings over the Channel. I hardly think the requirement for a digital identification card is going to deter them. Realising that argument was not persuading anyone, the government now claims it is about simplifying access to government services. Government services do need to be simplified, but we do not need digital ID to achieve that. But whatever the actual reasons behind this policy, inevitably we're going to see mission creep. I was particularly concerned to hear the Minister for Children and Families, the Honourable Member for Whitehaven and Workington, say that government is, and I quote, starting with this issue of right to work checks, but there are loads of other applications for digital ID.